Can you show the roof?
Yeah. Buddy. Okay, this last person. Right.
All right, my name is Derek Clopton, and I'm going to talk about when I was in the Army. I joined in January of 2007 is when I went to basic training, and in basic training, every time you had to take the physical fitness test, I'm sure everyone's heard that you have to take some sort of a fitness test to join, and then once you're in, you have to take, you work out every day, you have to take a certain amount of tests and pass them all so that you can go to the next step, which the next step is AIT. So when you're in basic training, the drill sergeants push very hard about passing, and to some of the people who are just naturally really athletic and do really good, about getting a really high score and getting what's called a PT award, which is a really awesome thing. So every day as we were working out, doing all these different push-ups, sit-ups, we'd wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, and we'd be in our PT uniforms, which is technically just a sweatsuit that said Army on it, before 4 o'clock in the morning, and we'd just be running fast sprints, just whatever. We were split up in groups. We'd go do this every day for 6 weeks. 6 weeks straight. It was technically what most people would call hell, and I think back now and I kind of miss it because I was in amazing shape back then. I'm slacking now. That's what's up. With all of that working out and obviously having to do it, you do it, like I said, every day. This started in January, and on top of all the trips we had to take, all the random training out in the middle of nowhere, we were always doing physical fitness, always. So when it came to the end of basic training, we had to do our final PT test, which every drill sergeant was like wanting specific people who could run 2 miles in their sleep and get like 7 minutes, which I just thought was ridiculous. And there's a chart for specific age groups and sex. If you're a male between 19 and 22, you're supposed to be able to run 2 miles in under 11 minutes. And at the time, I was 19, so between 19 and 22, you're supposed to run 2 miles in under like 17 minutes, I think it was. And you had to do a certain amount of push-ups in 2 minutes and a certain amount of sit-ups. So this was huge. So they took us on this huge company run, and there's 198 soldiers running, and it's about 7 miles at a really slow pace. You start in the front, and then people would slowly fall to the back. And with the drill sergeants being around, they more or less encouraged us as it got towards the end on that very last run, because we were running pretty much to warm up for that final test. So they weren't trying to completely kill us, they just wanted to get us warm up, because technically that last final 2 mile run was going to set the pace for, that was going to set the standard for when you were in AIT. So if you didn't care about the, getting some sort of award, then it didn't matter. You just wanted to pass, especially when you knew what the time scale was, and if you didn't think beforehand you'd ever be able to run a mile, then you seemed like 2 miles was just crazy and was never going to happen. And for me, that's how I felt. I was terrified. We did all these sprints every day, and I never thought that was going to happen. And when I was in basic training, from all of the ruck marches, that's where you carry your full battle rattle and you have your M16, you're going on all these marches, I actually fractured both my right knees and my right foot. And I was in physical training every day. And they kept trying to recycle me, which literally means taking basic training over even. So that was not an option for me. I was terrified, and every day I went to physical therapy. I missed a lot of marches that were mandatory. I just had to take that final road march at the end, which was 16 miles through sand, because they wanted everyone to get into the notion of what it was like to be in Iraq. So you had to walk in sand, and every about hour and a half we would stop and switch out our socks, because your feet would just be soaking wet. You just walk out in the woods and pee. I mean, you were just there. You didn't, most people just want to get it done. It was awful. You're just dragging your feet through sand. You just want to get it over with, and that was it for me. I was done with my physical therapy. All I wanted to do was pass. I was just motivated. I wanted to get it done and over with, and that was it. That was all I had to do to get through it. So finally got to the end, and there's all these all these little tiki torches all over the place, and all these drill sergeants, and they're all being laid back, which just scared you because they're never laid back, so you're afraid that they're gonna like jump out and, you know, start screaming at you, like, get on the ground. You're like, what? I have Kool-Aid. You know, everybody was fine, and there really was Kool-Aid, I'm not kidding, but it was crazy. We finally got to the end, and, oh, I have never thanked God so much in my entire life. He possibly could have been a little bit annoyed at that. I get it. Just be grateful. So we still had, after that final ruck march, the PT test. Got up at 4 a.m., did our normal warm-ups, did our run, did the company march run, went to the field, the track field, and everybody got in their lines, and everyone took turns. It was only about 5 people at a time that got to start it, and they let them start in 5-minute intervals in every company that was set up. If you ran fast, you were in Group A. If you ran okay, you're in Group B, and if you were slower, then you were in Group C. I was in Group C. I was not a confident runner at all. And to pass, you had to get, like I said, 17 minutes. So, started the 2-mile run, and I started off slow. You learned after being there for 6 weeks that you don't just shoot it out of the gates. You're just going to kill your endurance. So you just start off slow, pace yourself the whole time. So that's what I did. I just paced myself the entire run. I was getting passed by all these people, and I was just looking at them like, okay, I'll be passing you here in a minute when you're passing out on the ground. You don't have a chance to stop. You start to finish. And every time you make one lap, there's a drill sergeant who's timing you, who's just looking at you like, you're not allowed to stop here, you know? And on top of being scared of the drill sergeants, you don't want to fail. After the last 6 weeks that you just went through, you just want it to be over with. So I finished my run, and he shouted out, 15:02. It's like, awesome, you know, great, this is one part of the test done. So, go to do push-ups. Maximum that you had to do for women in my age group was 20. Got down, the front lean and rest, started doing push-ups, 2 minutes, bam, 77.
Wow.
Did sit-ups right after that. In about 15 minutes, you had to do 69 sit-ups in 2 minutes. And I did 79. I was like, oh my God. I cannot believe this is happening. So, I thought he was joking. So he said it to me again, and I think he was just annoyed because he thought I was just gloating, you know. So I just let it go because I wasn't sure, and I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention to what the scores could possibly be for somebody who did really, really good. Well, 3 days later, there's a big board out there, people are being announced, and all of a sudden I hear Private First Class Clopton. Like, what? And I'm being announced in front of 198 soldiers. I was the last person to receive the award, the only female. I was awarded that, and it was given, you got 5 promotion points, you were off CQ duty, which you had to wake up in the middle of the night and clean. I was done for the rest of my training. So I had exceeded limitations. I didn't even think I could do. I had an awesome time, and it was probably one of the greatest things I've ever done.